Sunday, Monday, happy days, everybody. Welcome to the Football Ramble. Chaos at Spurs and Villa thump Brighton. It's Monday, 2nd of October. I'm Marcus Speller.
I'm Pete Donaldson.
I'm Jim Campbell.
And I'm Vithushan and Ehantharajah.
What a weekend! What a weekend of footballing action, everybody. It's very rare when we all leave happy. And that weekend proved it again. Pete Donaldson.
Hello, how are you?
Oh,
you all right?
It's been breakneck speeds, hasn't it?
It really has. You think you're in for a quiet weekend of the Barclays and beyond, but the Barclays never disappoints, does it?
I had to end the weekend with some fast food.
What did you go for?
Courtesy of Ronald McDonald.
Ronald McDonald.
What did you get? Chicken Selects?
Chicken Selects is the best thing on the menu.
Chicken Select. You're such a weirdo.
How am I? They won't do my Big Mac medium rare, so I'm not involved.
There are other places to get chicken strips.
Yeah.
Way better.
Not at that time where I live.
Grab the Sam's chicken after church.
Oh, no,
Yes.
no.
Run by a Sri Lankan man.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What, all of them? He's busy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Flipping heck. Hats
Is
off
he?
to him. Hats off to him. Well, Pete Donaldson, I'm going to start with you. What was your highlight of the weekend?
Ticketing chaos at St James's Park.
Really?
They're just, I don't know what it is about moving to a ticketless system, but the Premier League and no one can get it right, and I don't know why.
Everyone just chants it. Yes, I've got a ticket.
Could it be tens of thousands of boomers?
Could it be?
be
Yeah,
that?
not being unable to work a mobile phone. Yeah, it just seems like a complete mess every single time, however they do it.
Yeah.
And it works for some people, and they're all very sort of like, oh, well, it works for me. It's like, yeah, but did you see? Nobody could get in the ground.
Yeah.
But I suppose the other point of the boomer thing is like that is a lot of football fans, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly,
they
exactly.
should
And they're the
walk
ones
people through it.
Exactly.
Like,
If
They've been sat in their season tickets for 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the solution for that is
Rush the barriers.
Is escalation?
It's escalation, Marcus.
Because it
It's
seems
escalation.
to be. It seems to be a lever we can pull now, perhaps. Jim, your highlight of the weekend.
My highlight of the weekend came at Goodison Park when the cameras cut to Steve Pascoe, one of the 777 blokes who were looking to take over the club. Just looking
Glad you had
around
that extra 7 there, mate.
just looking around in utter disbelief at what Everton are actually like.
Yeah.
His face was a picture like, oh, God.
Yeah. I thought we were a bunch of so-and-sos. Fish.
my highlight of the week was a bagel I had on Saturday morning.
I knew you were going to say something about food.
Bagel I had on Saturday morning.
Right, Chicken Select.
He always
Very
put it-
lovely.
Put it on his Instagram stories.
Yeah, it was, and they reposted it. Good on them. It was lovely, and then I got home for 12:30 to watch Villa Brighton, which I didn't enjoy as much because most of the match people were sending me messages over Twitter and Instagram,
Yeah.
Right.
So-
calling
saying
me
what?
an idiot.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
You thought Brighton might win.
Not only might win, Marcus thought they might win comfortably.
Yeah.
The score was 6-1 to Aston Villa.
They got the one.
I
They got
do
a
love
a thin pillow of one.
Yeah, indeed.
Do you know what the most pathetic thing was? Yeah, it's 3-0 at half time. Brighton score early in the second half, and to myself, because of people being very reasonable, saying, "I think you called that wrong."
You started
To myself,
answering back.
I went, "Fucking get in there." Two more of these.
This does not slip.
Two more of these. Hold on, and I'm going back into my mentions. It's the most pathetic thing.
Lovely
On
stuff.
midday on a Saturday.
You are an underrated angry man.
I don't think I'm angry.
Furious.
Petty.
Fueled by hatred.
Petty. I'm a petty man.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And there's a lovely difference. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Very much to be enjoyed. But I think there was a lot of highlights of the weekend. But I did enjoy Jared Bowen's goal for West Ham. Did you see the tick-attacker football that produced it? David Moyes is having a lovely time.
Yeah.
I said at the end of last season, leave. It can't get any better than this. But he's proven me wrong.
He's having a lovely time.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's doing it.
He's not been this happy since he was giving out free food to pensioners in the pandemic.
Yeah, very true. He keeps getting into my mentions going, see, Speller, I told you, it can get better. But I'm waiting. Oh, yes. Right then, everybody, let's talk about, where should we begin? Probably Spurs 2, Liverpool 1. Good 3 points for Tottenham.
Fairly uneventful.
Who wants to go first? Jim?
I thought it was very poor how Liverpool was sitting back at the end there.
Yeah, you're very...
I mean, come on.
I mean, they're parking the bus.
Yeah.
We've
it's
not,
very negative.
Yeah,
Parking the bus with a couple of wheels missing.
Where was the press?
yeah.
The famous
Where was
press.
the famous press?
You know the funniest thing off the back of like, you know, we're about to delve into the nonsense. I was genuinely incredibly impressed by how Liverpool played that game.
Oh, yeah.
At every single stage,
Yeah.
11 men, 10,
Yep.
9, I
Yep.
was like, fucking hell, this is like, it's so rare for a team to be like this. And by the end, when the Liverpool fans were like getting into voice before Matip decided to blaze it into his own goal,
Oh, man.
you were like, fucking hell, this is
Yeah.
really, really impressive.
Absolutely right. I think that's it. That shouldn't be lost in all this. It will be lost in
Yeah,
all
no,
this.
of course. That's why I got it out of the way first.
Well played, sir. Because actually, I thought to myself, you know, when all said and done, what it makes me think, you know, if one was to start saying, well, who do you think is going to have the better season? Who's the better team? Liverpool all day long for me after that performance. No, not taking away anything from Spurs, but as you say, they were very impressive. Luis Diaz's finish was very impressive, and sadly, Peter, it was ruled out for offside. VAR did not overturn after a quick check because, as we now know, the video assistant replay thought that the on-field decision was to let the goal stand. So a bit of a miscommunication, which they apologised for.
And I guess it's that situation where the referee, they're still trying to pretend that the referee has the ultimate kind of power in any situation, when in fact VAR removed that some time ago. So maybe if they stop thinking that for a second, and we just got on with business at hand, using VAR as the tool it was designed to be, maybe we could just have a nice time instead of having to talk about this administrative nonsense.
This is part of the problem, isn't it? VAR was brought in to eradicate these sort of mistakes because they happened anyway. This sort of stuff happened all the time. There was outrage about it that would last for a weekend and then die down. When this sort of thing happens now, it feels like a much, much bigger deal and a much, much bigger injustice because we have the technology to stop it happening, and rightly so. But it is surely going to get to the point where a team goes down because of a thing like this, or something is.
But to cut in though, this is not a run of the mill VAR.
Oh, absolutely not.
Decision.
But we are seeing consistent. I mean, these 14 apologies speak for themselves, right? They're all slightly different, but they're all things that surely should be avoidable with a process that's put in place to sort of, as best as possible, allow for human error. Now, I think there's a couple of things that need to be considered. Firstly, the semi-automated offsides thing is that technology exists. We've seen it work pretty well. I'm sure it's not as simple as just like flicking a switch and then, hey, you've got semi-automated offsides. But I think
Very close,
as soon as
it's all done on
possible,
video, isn't it?
It's all done with computers now, I believe.
It's all done with computers now.
But I think as soon as possible, just bring that in. Swallow your pride.
They voted against it in the summer.
Right.
That's the most ridiculous thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
you say they voted against it, was this the PGMOL?
Yeah. They because they have it elsewhere. You know, they have it in Italy, for example. But they voted against it in the summer.
Just have someone at the door checking your receipts,
but it's a ticketless system now, Peter. I think this is the first time I think to myself, actually, AI might be the answer, because if you have AI referees, right, then you get to abuse them as much as possible. They won't mind. They don't have the emotions yet. So I think that could be something. But this is a different.
If you walk that down the garden path a little bit, though, probably not a great idea.
His referee's malfunction. He's repeatedly kicking the ball in the back of the net. But this is obviously a different
Judgment Day. We don't want that.
This is obviously a different type of mistake from VAR. This is, I mean, it's actually not VAR. It's
the application of VAR, isn't it?
It's a miscommunication between two human beings. That's what this is actually. So I don't think when people are having a go at the technology, it's not a technology issue. This is literally one human being not watching the footage correctly.
Yeah, I mean, like, we talk about the technology of VAR.
It's just a video.
It's a complicated thing.
We've had that
just
since
replays.
Exactly.
It's just lines on a screen,
Yeah.
And so that to me makes it worse, because Jim was saying before about how we used to have these things all the time. This was exactly the kind of thing we have all the time, and they still fucked it up. Like,
and people would scream for technology.
And like this is, I feel like I'm defending like robots here to a point, but like it is. I think it's a disgrace that they even had that miscommunication. One of the things we always said at the start was you need some open dialogue in the stadium, because it's obviously ruined the in-game experience. Because the number of games we've all been out where you're like,
you've got that little
checking this, what you just see the sign, VAR check for penalty, whatever, red card, whatever, and there's no clarity at all. And one of the reasons you should bring that in, or that should have been brought in, from the start is because it makes all the officials basically go by a script. So therefore there's a back and forth. And there's, the due process plays out as it does in cricket and rugby, where they just get the language right. And it comes from like me repeating to you, am I going to allow this goal? Yes, you are allowed to do this goal. Really simple thing. If that was in place, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And also little things like, obviously Darren England says, stick with the on-field decision, that's fine, thinking it's a goal. What does he think when they're kicking off?
Yeah, well, that's
when they're not kicking off.
there's a
with
chat
that.
there, isn't there?
I think the issue with that is that once the game's restarted,
That's right.
they don't have the authority to come back and change it, which is another issue. I think for a situation like that, there essentially needs to be some sort of big red button. You go, whoa, no, we've
Control Alt Delete.
I mean,
Exactly.
You know, on a treadmill, the treadmill, they've got a safety thing where you take off and it just stops.
Which seems more dangerous than just dealing with whatever's happening.
But clearly with that, though, a precedent would then be set. How long then after?
Fine.
I agree. I couldn't agree
If it's
more.
a goal,
if a goal is the whole point.
Yes,
it's the whole point of being there.
The goal is the goal is the goal.
Yeah. So again, I think in the actual VAR room, if they're not going to bring in semi-automated offsides or whatever, because as you say, we're talking about human beings here, and clearly the processes aren't efficient enough. So let's use an offside decision that's been done wrong as an example. Remember
the Luis Diaz one? We could.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of Arsenal Brentford last season for obvious reasons. Bias,
there we go.
But the reason given was that they'd forgotten to draw the lines, right? So if in a situation where it comes to an offside, there should be a checklist on screen. Have you drawn the lines?
Yes.
Press a button. Yes. Just like walk them through it. Again, they're very proud people,
probably is, though,
clearly.
Jim. Well, there's checklists on aeroplanes.
Well,
there's checklists.
if there was, then I don't think that situation would have happened, right? They have to make it a bit more basic because they're making really, really silly mistakes. Yes, they're human errors. We would all do the same. I'm sure we would. But the whole point is getting decisions right? It's not.
But you
people feeling proud of their ability at decision making or whatever.
But your argument there is immediately. But there's human error, and we'd all make mistakes. Well, there you go. Here's one. And that is the point. It's just.
I appreciate I'm arguing for more technology here, and I might.
But this is what I mean, though. This argument ends up with saying we need robots checking the robots who check the robots. Well,
no, you would just need. This is the thing, though. You would just need one robot.
You would a big robot.
One big fucking robot. Like Optimus Prime.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's robot. That one, the one he played.
Terminator.
Yeah.
No, he's
get it wrong.
He's angry fucker.
These little AI quizlings.
Pete stayed very quiet in that chat.
Just get a few men and more women in because you know what fucking men are like with their backs up. How dare you doubt me?
But I think that's a big
more
part of this.
fucking women in there.
Well, you are just speculating when you say that's a big part of this. Look, at the end of the day, it is a communication error that has caused this, and it's maddening. That's what it is.
Yeah.
However. I think
we are forgetting, Marcus, this is fucking funny.
Indeed.
We're forgetting the massive capacity with this being very funny indeed.
None of us support Spurs and none of us support Liverpool.
Exactly.
Well, even if we did support Spurs, you'd probably find it quite...
Well, the interesting thing about it, I thought, was when... I don't know if you saw this live at the time, but they missed the kickoff for the second half on Sky, yeah?
Right.
Because they hadn't talked about the goal. And it was only through someone... I think someone was like... We should probably talk about the goal here. So right, let's do it when we go back from the breek. And when they go back to the game, Spurs are already knocking it around there. Like Mickey van der Ven's got the ball.
This is what happens.
And just got a barbecue on the go. Having a great time.
This is what happens when you go to Club Wembley. You go in at half time, you have a drink, you have a pie and all that sort of
Prawn
chatting
sandwich.
away. And suddenly someone says, the game's restarting. You're like, oh my goodness, this chair
we can watch it here, can't we?
This chair is so comfy. I wouldn't,
and of course it's a travesty. And of course people and idiots are calling for a replay and stuff like that. And it's all down to Arsene Wenger against Sheffield United a few years ago, to be quite frank, when they replayed that.
Very different circumstances, though.
No, but
Mark Overmars and Arsene Wenger, they set the precedent on
Carlo, I believe it was.
Yeah, but they benefited from that game. So this would be like Spurs saying, okay, let's replay it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Okay, I don't think Spurs
which
are
I
going to go for
noticed
that.
they haven't.
Once again, showing you who the real charity
Imagine if they're trying to get through to Spurs to negotiate it, and Spurs are sorry, the technology just isn't working at the moment.
Right. We had a miscommunication. We thought they said that the result stands.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a bad line. It's a bad line. So I'll call you
Can
back.
you send us a letter?
I
Can you
don't.
send us a letter?
Marcus, would you like to hear some comments from the YouTube page for the Sky Sports reporting of this particular?
I would.
I think that we're struggling with balance and with maybe a bit of wisdom here. So yes, I would, Peter.
Respect to Klopp. Respect to the lads. Watching this has put me at ease. We move with dignity and have proved our strength going forward. Liverpool are truly a force to be reckoned with. I am proud to be a part of it.
Jamie Carragher there.
Just going to turn off my mentions on Twitter.
Should have called the team in after that offside decision. Call the team in. Just call the team in. Just call the team in.
Not playing this.
We need this game to be replayed. That was scandalicious by the refs. Fucking James Brown on the comments.
Completely undermines.
That was scandalicious, baby.
Undermines the severity of the point by that word.
This was match fixing. No other excuse. It was match fixing. All caps. Whoever was in that VAR box needs suspending and honestly investigated. I just love, I love the hand wringing from Premier League football fans.
Yeah.
Put all those tweets on that big sphere at Las Vegas, and I'll just sit there and fucking masturbate. I just love it, fucking love it.
But the worst thing is, like
what he said, what he wants to do. That's the worst
Don't
thing.
masturbate at the comments.
Don't masturbate at the big sphere. The big Las Vegas sphere.
Imagine the little
what
moment
happens in
of
Vegas,
shame
baby?
afterwards with that.
Yeah, but you'd film it though.
The biggest sphere and the smallest, together at last.
Oh dear, Vish, you were going to say something. Go on.
I was, yeah.
Or you can go watch you
this-
too.
I think a
This makes-
15th apology is coming. Pun intended.
These kind of situations like perpetuate that. What was it like? Wolves got 4 apologies last year or something like that.
Yeah. And they've had one this season.
Yeah, I had one this season, and there's like it feels like it's not even just Liverpool fans, like, or not even the fans who have the most online presence. It's just a total lack of faith in the system.
Nobody is safe.
Yeah,
but
Nobody is safe from an apology.
I don't really know what the best situation is beyond maybe just stripping it back. Because
I understand, like, you have an investigation and how can they improve things, blah, 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 blah. But this idea, when Liverpool release a statement saying that sporting integrity has been undermined and the explanation was unacceptable,
So
calling for a review of full transparency. The statement also says, in the meantime, we will explore the range of options available given the clear need for escalation and resolution. That's just bollocks.
I mean, that is bollocks.
But the first part of the statement's completely reasonable, I think.
Yeah, but it's just the ending, isn't it? Really, and I said this on the WhatsApp yesterday. Like clubs write statements like they're fucking the president. They should be allowed. I said this on WhatsApp. They should be allowed 12. One per month, and if you use them all up in August, like Man United, you just don't get any more. All right.
Man United have been a bit quiet, haven't they?
They've run out. They've run out the headed notepaper.
Yeah, an address to the fans or something. I
A statement from the Football Ramble. We would like to apologise for what Pete said about the big ball in Las Vegas and the Liverpool fans being absolute terrors on YouTube.
We're not apologising for any of that.
No, I'm not apologising.
We'll double doon.
Double
That's what we'll do.
Double doon. That is the problem with PGMOL, isn't it? They're double and doon all the time.
Did you not think the excuse though was massively reverse engineered?
What do you mean, like retcon from what? Actually,
like the way I read that the excuse from PGMOL, I was like, I feel like you've tried to work something out here after the event.
I do.
Because it's something about it smacked a little bit to. And then this happened, and this happened, and what are you going to do?
Well, it was very fast, though, wasn't it? Which suggests that their version of events is actually what happened, but also the whole situation of like the game then not restarting from a kickoff. It is, there are inevitable question marks about that as well. The whole thing's very confusing. On top of this, I think Diogo Jota's first yellow card was incredibly harsh. And the situation where VAR can't overturn yellows is also a bit mad. Because a yellow card can be hugely significant, as was played out here.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they drew the lines, didn't they, and said we're going to look at offsides that lead to goals and penalty decisions. And
we don't want to do too much. We don't want to fuck up. So we'll just stick to offside.
But they don't want to do too much. I mean, Jota's second was a definite booking. The first one clearly wasn't. But this is the point. Before VAR came along, we had harsh yellows. We had all this. VAR should eliminate this, and by and large, it has quite a bit, but it's not going to get everything right. I'm not excusing. Yes, it's poor. The other decision was should Curtis Jones have been sent off, because I do think that there is an understandable debate there. I think he's very, very, very unlucky.
Yeah, but he's that tackle is hard, right? Where it's hitting the player on the shin is Bissouma. It's bad, right? That's I think. I don't know that because his foot rolls over the ball, that stops it being a red.
Okay.
It's still a dangerous tackle, right? It might be an accidentally dangerous tackle.
Yeah.
Because he's very unfortunate that his foot has rolled over the ball like that. But he's still endangered Bissouma.
I think you've probably summed it up quite nicely.
I'll level
there.
with you, Jim. I was looking at the Liverpool squad to see if I could see the words that would rhyme with Montreal, so Montreal Screwjob, but there was nobody there, really.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
apologies.
Monreal screwed.
Monreal
he
Screwjob.
Unrelated.
Yeah.
Very unrelated.
I mean, we're already quite a bit into the pod, and we haven't actually talked about, the goals and how the game sort of was won and lost. But I suppose you could argue that, one or two decisions there.
That's not getting us hits on YouTube, mate.
It isn't. Yeah. I mean, but as you said at the start, Liverpool played very, very well, but Spurs won the game, and the scenes of celebration after at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, etc., etc. It just their brilliant start to the season continues when all is said and done.
Yeah. It was a kind of finish to a Spurs game that probably Spurs fans haven't been used to in the last few years, and I thought actually it was a really interesting. I appreciate Man City lost on the weekend, but it was a really interesting nudge or nod to why Man City are so good, because they unpick teams in those situations. Obviously, Liverpool are 2 men down, but set up really well, I thought, in front of their box.
I mean, it's extraordinary
And
when
Spurs
they had all
couldn't
9 men.
Yeah, they're amazing.
But Spurs couldn't get through.
No, and
the only time they got through was when they got slightly behind and played the ball along the floor, which is like what City do all the time.
But I mean, it was a very, very unlucky own goal
Yeah,
from Matt. I mean,
massively so,
again, like it came from nothing.
I think
from
it
his
comes
point
from
of view,
being absolutely knackered. Doesn't
probably. I mean, from his point of view, it's a shocker.
He's got to go for it.
Oh, he has to get rid
But
of it.
It
was so unlucky,
He hit it so hard.
I know. Yeah, it was a great finish, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny, isn't it? Because it was an absolutely absorbing game. It was just two teams going at it, but because of that particular decision and other decisions, you kind of almost forget about the entertainment value of it.
Yeah, I mean, but one would probably say that fundamentally to a neutral, it probably added to the drama.
Yeah, very true.
Although, I mean, when the Premier League likes to market itself as this product now, almost more than a league, and it is embarrassing that this situation has happened, because the neutral all over the world wants to see the best teams in that league go at it at full strength, and we were denied that.
I mean, I think if that decision, to briefly, if I may go back to it, it's embarrassing. I think there's a conspiracy. I don't think anything. It's embarrassing. You
Just
need
incompetence.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Nice to see that Henry Winkler has been congratulating Ange Postecoglou and has offered to sign a poster to see if he would put it back up on his wall, because Postecoglou said in a press conference, obviously before the game, that he was a big Liverpool fan and had sort of football posters on his wall. And he had one there with Happy Days and the Fonz and whatnot. And so old Henry Winkler's laid down the gauntlet, Vish. What do you think of that?
He's probably thinking, I should have said David Hockney, shouldn't I?
Banksy.
Yeah.
Henry Banksy come and do a picture.
Yeah.
I would say that if Henry Winkler's, like, what posters he got kicking around of himself? Because they would have been
get hold of them.
Would there been a
like
reprint, or would it
Comic-Con?
be? Yeah, maybe. Oh, maybe. But I'm thinking it might be like an original. When was that? Set in the 50s, in the late 70s,
70s, maybe 80s, something
right?
like that. Yeah.
I mean, either way, you're looking at a pretty valuable poster. So I'd say yes anyway.
Well, if he hasn't got one and he can't get hold of them, then surely he would say to the Happy Days community, he would say, right, if one of you gives me a poster, you get to meet me, and then and all that, and
It's
I'll
a lot of heavy lifting for the funds.
I'll sign your nipples or something. I don't know. And then you see, I know what you mean. He's got to. Yeah, we shall see, Jim, won't we? Spurs won the game, and that's the end of that. We're going to move on from
what we need is the fonts to go to the VAR machine and just elbow
Yes!
and make it work again.
Maybe it just needs a little clump.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Give him a clump.
a little
Give
club.
Pugmall a clump.
Yeah, that would be
Pugmall reminds me of Pugwall from Pugwall's
Pugwall's
last summer. Little 80s TV show
It
reference.
was
there.
Pugwall's summer. It wasn't Pugwall's last summer.
Thinking of David's last summer, the pub song. Pugwall died.
Pugwall was
He wanted to
Australian.
be a cool. He was, yeah.
Do you think what?
Nobody told him what to do. No, not him.
Was
Yeah.
Ange like an extra in that? Do you think?
Guaranteed he will have been a fan. So anybody who has any sway in the press room, please ask Ange Postecoglou about whether he loved The Adventures of Peter Wall and Pugwall and his last summer.
As if he hasn't had enough nonsense thrown at him.
I love the way we get in Australia, the Premier League is like, right, let's just go a bit mental. Let's ask him about
Let's ask him about Round the
cricket.
Twist.
Let's ask him about Round the
Barbecues.
Twist. Yeah. Podcasts.
When
racism.
are your neighbours good friends? I don't know, where does it end?
Oh, look, mate, Wolf Creek's not a real thing.
Now we're going to talk about Aston Villa 6, Brighton 1. The great mugging off of Vithushan and Ehantharajah, of course. Ollie Watkins has
one
become
of two on this show.
Ollie Watkins has become the first Aston Villa player to score 2 hat-tricks in a season since Andy Gray.
Andy Gray. You
Him-
sort of forget how good Andy Gray was, don't you?
He's incredible.
I've noticed a weird thing has happened in my mind with Andy Gray because his commentary style was very particular, wasn't it? Very, very aggressive.
Yeah.
It's been filed in my brain in the same place that old wrestling commentators' voices live.
Yeah,
Vince.
yeah.
Like it's sort of Gorilla Monsoon and Andy Gray are in the same place. Whereas,
Will you
know,
stop?
I mean, Andy Gray...
Scoring hat-tricks.
Andy Gray's playing career finished in 1990. So, like, when you say, you forget, I was like, I didn't have a memory of Gray when he
No,
was
I mean,
playing,
I mean his commentary style.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you were talking about as actual player.
No.
I think Gray was the first. He was a player before Cristiano Ronaldo to win.
That's right, yeah.
Players player and young player.
That's right, yeah. Back to back seasons. But now look at him. Look at what he became.
Ollie Watkins, this could be your future, mate. Play your cards right.
That's disrespectful. Rangers have lost a manager.
Sorry?
Recently, haven't they?
What's that got to do with anything?
Just saying, you're disrespecting a proud Rangers man.
That was at the end of his career. And
How is that
he's-
disrespectful?
I'm mentioning him.
He said that you didn't remember anything he did, any of his
don't.
achievements.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, good.
Right.
Admit it then.
Okay, I have.
Pete, keep
How do I move on
this
from
up.
this?
We might have to go to a break, so I don't have to accept my.
We can talk about Ollie Watkins, though, Vish. You're a big fan of his. You've been saying, why is he not playing for England? And I keep saying, because Harry Kane's the main striker. But Gareth Southgate...
I've not been saying why is he not starting for England.
Yeah, in your Bruce Forsyth voice, you're always doing that.
I just thought...
He played so much better than last week, didn't he?
Give him a jersey number. Is it higher than a 9? It's a 17.
Oh, no,
he could win. He'll be on the bench.
One for our American listeners.
Old young American listeners.
He hasn't made the squad again. Oh, what bad luck. Ollie Watkins, though, scored 3 goals. Gareth Southgate was watching. What do you think that does? Vish,
He
for
addressed
his
that really
chances?
well at the end.
He did.
There was like, Gareth Southgate is watching, and I reckon if the camera wasn't on, he'd be like, he's always fucking watching, isn't he? It doesn't make sense. He was outstanding. Brighton were like really clunky, but Villa were just like all over them.
Well, it was their 10th consecutive league win at home, Vish.
Yeah, it was.
No
yeah.
wonder Andy backed them to win.
I know it's quite late in the game, but Ramsey just waltzing into the box. And
Yeah.
it was a
Unreal,
lovely
wasn't it?
finish. Beautiful finish.
I was almost kind of mocking. It's like, oh, you think you've got ball players, do you? Well, we didn't even pay for this one.
He's kind of, I mean, Jacob Ramsey, obviously, with England at sort of age level and so on, has been played and whatnot. He's obviously had a bit of chat, but do you think he's sort of slightly under the radar?
Jacob Ramsey, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been injured, isn't he? But I think he's someone who's got a very, very bright future. Villa are. I think they themselves maybe see him as a little bit of a secret weapon. I mean, it's again, he's one of those players who's maybe a little bit unfortunate that we're so stuffed with talent at the moment. But I think he's he's certainly got a bright future, and it's a good place for him to develop and to have that as well.
Definitely.
Because also the position he would ideally occupy in a midfield 3 is Jude Bellingham's position.
Yeah.
So, someone who carries the ball forward and like is that engaging in the final third. I think the other thing I've mentioned him a lot, and I'm going to do it again.
John McGinn.
Unbelievable.
McGinn Esther.
But just like the way he was like opening up Brighton for like the person who put on the assist, for example, for Watkins, or even just like playing reverse passes to people who like didn't quite follow through with the opportunity he created. He's so good. He's just wonderful, and his arse looked amazing again.
Yeah, I was going to say. I knew you were going to get that point in there.
Yeah, well, I had to. Yeah, it was the only thing I could take solace from. Side.
Yeah, I mean, they're up to 5th, Villa. I mean, we were saying for a couple of games, but they've had a bit of an up and down start to the season.
Well,
no, they've had a good start to the
but
season. They won 5 out of 7.
That's interesting as well, isn't it? Because there were, I think when they booed off when they lost to Everton, which I suppose is reasonable.
Yeah.
Whoever you are.
You should get booed just for playing them. I'm not dignifying this.
Luton fans were booing because they only beat them by the odd goal.
But it shows you how much Emery has raised the expectations, doesn't it? That they were. I don't remember a time where the expectations were so high at Villa going into this season because of the signings they made, because of the way they finished the last season, got European football and whatnot. And actually, in the game at the weekend, it was Emery's very particularly tailored tactical approach that won them this game so convincingly. They were so direct with Watkins and Diaby, just basically asking questions of the centre backs constantly, just hassling. it worked so well. Emery clearly, watches games, watches his opponents very, very, very intently before games. Tailors every single tactical plan. We know this. He's spoken about it extensively, and it worked so well this weekend.
And Brighton, of course. They themselves are on the same points as Aston Villa. So despite this, they still have a decent start to the season, having won 5 out of 7. It doesn't feel like that, of course, this morning for Brighton fans. But it was interesting what De Zerbi said. He mentioned losing Moises Caicedo has been a big loss for them, and that his character hasn't really been replaced in that midfield. He said Carlos Baleba can replace him, but he's not ready yet. And it was the first time, perhaps, maybe other people he said something similar before, but it was the first time I really thought, oh, right, yeah, they are missing a really, really, really good player that they got, because we always just think, they'll get another one for 2 million somewhere and so on. But, losing big players will hurt even a side like Brighton, Like I say, it's still an impressive start to the season from them. This feels more like a blip, and I'm sure they'll recover. You get these sort of crazy results,
Well, they got a pretty decent beating off West Ham as well.
Yeah,
who had about 5% possession in the game, so they're vulnerable like that.
And they are the 2 losses out of 7, but the other matches they've won, every single one of them, 5.
It's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, Arsenal feel like this at home sometimes as well. You've got these very intricate tactical setups. It's a bit like the Death Star. It's very impressive, but if you just shoot down that hole, the whole thing's fucked.
I know what you mean. But like I say, though, Brighton are 3 points off Manchester City at the top. That's what I mean. Let's not be silly. If they lose the next game, they get hammered.
Let's be silly.
Okay, fine.
Be silly,
She's
Marcus.
not here.
Was this a way of trying to get Real Madrid off the scent of Roberto De Zerbi? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, it is.
Chum.
Yeah.
Chum.
I think he tanked the game.
Ansu Fati scoring. What are you doing? Hey,
this is why you got shipped out of Barcelona. You cannot follow instructions, sir.
Yeah, we'll ship you out as well. We'll sub-loan. Can you do that? Probably not. I really don't know. But there we are. But a huge win for Aston Villa, and their impressive season, we have to say, continues. Get Watkins in the next England squad. Right, time for a break.
Dramatic moments during that game. How physically tough was it out there?
I mean, I so fucking tired.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody.
Yes.
That was Manchester United player Lucia Garcia's post-match interview, and we thank Tom Warren for choosing that clip. Of course, you can choose the intro line for Wednesday's show. Just sign up for Football Ramble Patreon using the link in the show description. You can also catch Upfront's roundup of the opening weekend in the WSL tomorrow at midday. Right! Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Manchester City 1. Jim, we were chatting the other day thinking, you know what, Manchester City, it's funny, isn't it? They've just been going about their business. They're top of the league. We haven't spoken about them that much this season because it just seems quite routine, but we probably should because it's been impressive. Well, here's a chance to talk about them.
It's been great. See, I did a wonderful thing on Saturday that I do about once a season because it's increasingly difficult.
Ran on the pitch?
Ran on the pitch, yeah. I avoided the scores as best I could. I knew the Villa score. I checked the Arsenal score at full time, obviously, because that would have been too difficult. And I had no idea this was even coming.
Oh, that's
Sat down to watch Match of the Day.
Yeah.
Why is this on so early? I think this might be quite good.
You must have loved that Arsenal went last. It was a routine win for them.
Well, yeah, it was. It's nice that a 4-0 away win is routine, but we're not talking about Arsenal, Marcus. We're always trying to make it about Arsenal.
We will be this Saturday when you play Man City.
Pep Guardiola called Hwang Hee-chan the Korean guy before the game after he couldn't remember how to pronounce his name.
Well, there are so many Korean players in the Premier League.
Indeed. Yeah. You'll piss in well remember now, won't you, Pep?
I think the way you said that he called him the Korean guy, giving Pep far too much credit there.
Yeah.
It was so dismissive.
Yeah.
We all know his name.
Yeah.
We all know his name very easy. It's ridiculous.
If you're going to use an analogy, just don't use that player then. If you don't, just choose someone else.
Could we see some sort of mock-up? I'm looking at you, Peter. Hwang Hee-chan, the Korean guy, the cable guy.
The cable guy.
It's the Korean guy. Next time they turn up against
exactly.
Man City.
Well, did you see Wolves? The goal tweet for Wolves was the Korean guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is wonderful. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
The thing is, for the Premier League, he's not the Korean guy. You know what I mean?
No, yes, indeed.
He's not the Korean guy.
That's right.
Like he's their Korean guy.
He's Wolves is a Korean guy. Fine.
If you can remember his name.
Yeah.
It was it was such an interesting game because you feel like City should have won it, like on the balance of chances.
I think
and
Wolves have been sort of promising to do something like this.
So that's the other thing. Like, and it's because Manchester United had a proper smash and grab at Old Trafford against.
Well, they played it as not too dissimilar to that.
Yeah,
because they're devastated.
No, they had more of the ball, and they should have won that game.
But the pace they have on the break.
Yeah, and Mateus Cunha's direct running.
Yeah.
We saw it at Old Trafford as well.
But it's all about can they finish?
Yeah,
with Wolves. That's going to be and if that is the problem, then they've got a chance. Because if you think, well, they're leaking goals, but they're not leaking goals, really. Yeah. You would say on the balance of things, but it is all about can they put the ball in the back of the net, and we saw that at Old Trafford. I mean, despite the ridiculous penalty nonsense, they should have been far and away.
They got an apology though.
They did get an apology. But I thought it was interesting, though, that when
he punched him in the face.
Nada should have been the one apologising. But when Hwang scores the winner, it was literally like, he went to shoot, to be fair to him, but it was a lovely assist, by the way.
I thought so.
Beautiful
very
assist.
unselfish.
Beautiful assist. But I think that it was like, right, we really need to, in those situations, maximise who has the best opportunity to score. Yeah. And then he did the defender, I forget who it was, nearly had it off the line. Was it Walker? Was it with a wonderful attempt at a diving header?
Because Wan Hee-chan tries to kid him, thinking he's going for the near post.
Yeah.
And Walker reads it.
Yeah, and was very, very close.
Yeah.
So it was an own goal and that. But the fact of the matter is, against Manchester City, you don't get many opportunities, and it was a brilliant, brilliant win.
I think a big part of the win, though, and this is not to take anything away from Wolves, is Rodri not being there. I think if Rodri's there, they win that game probably fairly routinely. And obviously they've got a squad that's built to cope with absences, but I think Rodri is probably the best in the world in that position. He dominates the midfield and dominates that space in a way that very, very few players do and can. And
De Bruyne not being there. I know he's been out for a while.
Absolutely as well. Yeah, they've got two of their absolutely key men missing. So I think that's a factor.
I think Rodri is so much more important than De Bruyne because every now and again he flicks that switch of just being the adult.
Yeah.
Is that, nah, come on, right, stop messing around. Come on, I'll bang it in for 30 yards or, pick up the ball. We're taking 3 points, we're going.
Yeah, I mean...
Get in the car now.
Well, yeah.
Spanish guy.
I mean, there was an important case against Sheffield United, of course, when he got the winner. But he wasn't there and Wolves won. And pleased for Gary O'Neill because a couple of awful decisions have gone against them in a couple of games this season already. And they need a win. You'd be surprised with the quality they have if they are looking over the shoulders this season. But it was interesting down there. But superb. And to beat Manchester City as well, the first team to do it in this season is quite something. The Wolves fans didn't greet Mateus Nunes too warmly on his return, as we're not too surprised of, I suppose. It was quite an ill-tempered game, really. I think there's about 9 yellow cards. Nelson Semedo appeared to celebrate in Jack Grealish's face as well. They don't like it up them, do they, Jim?
Was it really a blueprint for playing Man City, though, the way that Wolves played, or was it just really ill-tempered and they got one?
I just think with Man City, to say there's a template to play them, unless you're vintage Jürgen Klopp's Liverpool.
There is, but it's wildly different in every single game.
Exactly.
It's a new template every time. You need a template for the template.
Yeah, true. Pep was sat up in the stands with some of Manchester City's boardroom staff because of a one-match ban for dissent. So maybe that's key.
I have to say, he's missed a couple of games through back surgery.
Yeah.
It's so impressive that he's already managed to be banned.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Through his just animated way of doing things, yeah.
This is the first time they've dropped a point.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's managed to get a ban. It's very Pep.
It is.
Peak Pep.
Especially because he's probably on loads of painkillers as well. You'd think
Maybe
he'd chill
that's
him
it.
out.
It's all the codeine.
Or maybe he went cold turkey and that's why.
Yes.
He said, I like to be with the players, the smell of the grass. He said...
No, he's still on the codeine.
But he talked about Chakiri Bagiristan and Manol, who were with him, and he said, they're so nice, but I prefer to be down there. I must control it.
Must control it. Lovely.
You see, so that's the key.
Can't insult them, but I'd rather be somewhere else.
So nice.
I know. Well, you've just got to... Yeah, but he's like that. Everyone's wonderful, isn't he?
Yeah.
Bring some grass, will you?
The man who crashed into my car, he was so nice. So nice.
He was so apologetic.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Maybe that's the trick, is to try and get Pep up into the stands.
Cajole him in? Lure him in with
this way to the dugout. Oh, look out. It's David Bowie in Labyrinth.
Oh, is that a signed copy of Inverting the Pyramid up there?
Get yourself up there. Don't worry, Manchester City fans, because we're now going to talk about Manchester United. And they ensured that they, because Nottingham Forest didn't win, they stayed in the top half. They're 10th is the big takeaway, of course, at the moment. Vish, so far, 7 games into the season, and Manchester United are in the top half of the table. Has it been a good start?
I think it has, yeah. I think, objectively, if you look at a club of Manchester United, this is Manchester United we're talking about here. I think top half of the table is very good.
Yeah, well, they've got, do you think
I've always
Ten
said
Hag
has not been saying that enough?
Yeah. I think, no, yeah, I think he...
Erik, 10 top half.
You know what? I'd had to double check that was a good pun, because I wasn't entirely sure if we'd stay there, and there's a chance we might not if Fulham.
They haven't even got fucking 10 points.
Fulham do the winning, so that'd be annoying.
Do the winning.
Yeah. I forgot what it's called. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Well, of course, Manchester United were beaten at home by Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace 1-0. Roy Hodgson, the first manager to go 5 consecutive Premier League matches unbeaten at Old Trafford. Come on.
Lovely slot high into the roof of the net.
Oh, what a finish, actually. Maybe that was my moment.
It took a bit of a deflection.
No,
didn't
it never.
No, did it?
Never.
Oh.
Anderson
where's our apology for a deflection?
I tell you what, Roy Hodgson's got Manchester United a number, hasn't he?
I don't
Got
think
them in his claws.
You know the worst thing is, that is impressive. But we have been a bit rubbish at home.
I just think get him in.
I don't think he knows what he's really doing.
I think get Hodgson into Manchester
I
United.
think it's just like he's just a sweet old man who's won a decent wedge on a scratch card. Like, like obviously,
Is that what it is?
He'd have to go and buy it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
No, it's so bad. But the worst thing was watching Palace and being like, I'd like that player. I like that player. He's really nice.
You do
He'll
like
do,
Palace players, though.
Yeah.
The flary one.
You know what? I don't like Manchester United players. I can tell you that much.
I know, yeah.
It's been really really quite interesting with actually being able to, when games start, being able to be like, yeah, this is not going to go well. This is going to need a bit of luck. And it's funny to think that Manchester United seem to be missing Anthony to a point where it's just having someone else over there, like regardless of skill set, just having basically a name that might stand out, like Sancho, for example,
Right.
Because it feels like Rashford is totally gone off a cliff, really, in terms of his form, and I think a lot of it is because he needs to do more pressing. He's not really a presser, and the creative burden on him and Fernandes, like, they lose their cool so quickly now because they're like, it's literally just us. We have to we have to get this frustration out somewhere. So they just like shout into the void.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Shouldn't be in this situation.
I mean, have they signed
embarrassing.
Amrabat? Have they signed Amrabat so he can try and join in with that midfield? Because again, midfield, Mason Mount was in there, Bruno Fernandes, of course, and Casemiro. Like, it just sort of like that first game of the season against Wolves, you could see that midfield. I don't think it doesn't have the right balance. And I don't think it will. I honestly don't. I mean, Mount, is he trying to make him play deep or something? I don't know.
See, that's the thing I don't get, because if you get Amrabat in and if he started well in midweek, and maybe he needs to work up to, being fully match fit, but you think, like, play him next to Casemiro.
Yeah, that seems the obvious one, right?
Yeah.
So where did he start the weekend, Amrabat?
At left back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, every left back is injured, isn't he? I think actually
There are a lot of
the
defensive
injury
injuries,
list is massive, and United fans are talking about this online, and people are going, it's an excuse. It's not an excuse, is it? Let's be honest. Both first-choice fullbacks, Tyrell Malacia and Sergei Reguilon and Lisandro Martinez, everyone who could play at left back is not available. So that's
sure as well.
Well, exactly. I included him within the first-choice left-backs in my mind, but I see what you did there. So, I mean, any team would suffer with that amount of absences. They've got no choice but to shuffle the pack like that at the moment.
Indeed, yeah.
Doesn't make it any less funny.
I think that without a doubt that Manchester United are soft. Of course, on another day, they might have got something. But how often are we going to say this? They've got quality players. They're all going to create chances, but they're not putting them away. And they've been beaten again. They've lost 4 of their opening 7 Premier League games.
Worst start in 34 years, is it?
Exactly.
They seem to do that every season somehow.
I thought,
and then they're all right by the end.
I thought this on the weekend when they were like, it's the worst start in the Premier League. I was like, already? Again? What?
The records are tumbling.
What? Yeah.
I know. And obviously
it's Manchester United.
Yeah, well, this is it. And I think if you look at that team, they've got some good players in there, but it's obviously not gelling. And it's strange because Ten Hag has come in. It's almost like he's re-entered the fray like he did last season when he came in, and you remember that loss against Brentford away and so on, and it was all there. And he had to sort it out, and by and large he did. They finished positively. How come it's sort of happening again under
Well, there's
him?
constant drama as well, isn't there, to deal with the Anthony situations and the Sancho situation, as wildly different as they are. Both essentially mean that two important players are unavailable on top of those injuries. And I don't want to sound too Gary Neville about it, but it all goes to the top, doesn't it? I think the fans getting soaked by the leaky roof from above is a nice illustration of where the problems at United come from. It's this the Glazers are. It's a ridiculous situation.
Do you want to know what Avram Glazer was doing, Jim, the other day?
Yeah, I'd love to.
He was seen pushing his dog around in a pram in New York last week.
I am beginning to be of the opinion that they're not selling Man United because they look at the protests and they think it's funny and they can afford to. That's how it's starting to feel. Now, obviously, I don't actually mean that, but it is. I think it bears repeating so many times. We laugh at Man United a lot on this show, but this could happen to anyone's club in the same way that we talk about sort of huge nation state takeovers that mean your relationship is perhaps compromised in some way with how you feel about it. The Glazers take money out of Man United. It's a mad situation that no other big club has to deal with.
In a recession and in a global recession, it's a good place to park your money. Football teams are certainly ones that are as big as Manchester United.
Are you recommending that's what we should do?
But we could buy a very
Have
modest.
you got a pram for your dog?
I haven't. No, I mean my dog did
Papoose,
attack.
isn't it, for you?
Did try to attack a dog with wheels on their back legs last week. I was like, you're attacking a car.
coward.
You're attacking a car, Lola. I mean, it's just, that's all you're doing. But I would to defend the dog. It's
the Glazers.
to defend the Glazers. I mean,
Dog could have taken a knock.
well, it's still one of those like white fluffy Bichon-y sort of dogs that the older they get, the more red sort of spills out their eyes. So it looks like a fucking old dog. So that either that dog's
Look at you, your old dog, Glazer. Look at my young dog. Yeah.
That's Arteta.
So generally you would do this if your dog is like infirm in some way, or
I just couldn't walk. I'd do that.
That's all right. Why
Definitely.
you having a go?
Don't ever got the dog.
I'm
I've watched
just saying,
the clip,
do
and
you want to know what's going
To
on?
me, that dog's done nothing wrong.
Right. Okay. But wouldn't he not? Would it not be a good idea if he's going to turn up at Old Trafford, bring the dog? Because people go,
No, it doesn't look like the kind of dog that is particularly cute.
Right. Okay.
Get a cuter dog. United should sign a dog.
Yeah.
You
Like
were saying-
Arsenal do.
Yeah, it seems to be working so far. You were saying before we went on air, Vish, that Ten Hag's a bald fraud and they should sack him now. Do you still think that?
Do you still agree with that? Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
People think I said outside.
What's the point, eh?
Yeah,
You
I do-
pleased for Palace though, because they're
finally got
ninth.
them.
They're a place above Manchester.
I'm ecstatic. Over the fucking moon. Well done. what are they going to do with that? What are they going to do with that?
I just think I'm pleased for Hodgson. Well, they're going to
It's a
build
good point,
on it.
though. Yeah. What are they going to do with
They're
that?
just going to have a lovely time.
Get rid of Roy to the end of the season and start again.
No, but they won't, will they? This strengthens the case to keep him on for another season.
What are they going to do with those 3
Yeah,
points?
Roy
there?
Keane's like, oh,
It's going
man.
to end with, next season, Luis is going to bring you Roy in with a pram. In a pram.
It's like a dog with a remote control. What are you going to do? Chew it. You're just going to chew it. You're not going to watch any telly.
Just going to watch it.
I don't think, for the record, I don't think Ten Hag should be sacked, but I really don't see this being anything other than a pretty. Well, that was quite promising, and then we're back to their old ways.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a nothing season.
It is. It is. Well, look, as bad as it gets at Manchester United, at least they're not Everton. Okay?
Good, yeah,
There's
yeah,
always
you
someone
could
who's
do
worse
that,
off than
yeah.
you, unless you are an Everton fan. I think. Everton won Luton Town 2. Luton got their first top flight win since April 1992.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you see what Tom Lockyer said after the game?
Go on.
A lot of people have been saying a lot of things with a knowing little smirk. It's got to be Garth Crooks.
Yeah, just name him.
Name
Like,
Garth
if you really
Crooks.
want to just go, you have some of that, Crooksy.
Imagine that. If he'd named him, we'd have started the show with that.
We would
None of this
have done.
VAR stuff.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
I could see somebody wheeling Garth around in a little pram
Yeah.
as he writes his column.
He said, I don't want this to sound arrogant, but I really fancied us today. Well, you were at Goodison Park.
absolutely.
I don't blame
Yeah.
you.
Burnley
It's
at
not
home
arrogant at all.
next as well. They've got a chance to build a little momentum.
That's nice. That is nice.
A little
Yeah.
momentum.
Also, bear in mind, obviously we spoke about at the start when they couldn't play at home, and it felt like that then front loaded all their fixtures against them. And maybe this is the point where they're coming into a tidier run.
So they've got an unfair advantage.
I think so, yeah, because they're going to have an easier finish. PGMOL, where are you?
Where are they? For crying out loud. Everton were there for the taking, despite Everton winning 2 games on the bounce. And they did it. I mean, Morris's finish was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, I mean, peeling away at the back, it was far too easy. from Everton's point of view. But Luton, they did their homework and realised Everton are so soft on set pieces.
Which is amazing, isn't it? When we
a Dyche team
look
as well.
at Dyche as the manager we all believe him to be, it's really surprising. They keep getting outfought at home, and this was the first time they'd scored at home this season, and they still didn't win the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and but you know, again with Luton, the quality they have is not. There with some other people. Look at Everton's side. You can't say that Luton have got better players than Everton.
Everton did start very well though. They were very engaging at the start, and obviously ifs and buts and whatever. But it felt like as soon as Lockyer got that goal, immediately they were back in their own heads again.
Yeah, well, and what the point I was going to make is that if you think, right, okay, what can we do then? Well, set pieces, you've always got a chance. I mean, it's 2018 Southgate England-esque, you might say.
How have you brought this back to then?
Because it's important to not lose sight of the big picture. But that's what they did, and they gave him the old one too, and that was enough. Calvert-Lewin, who's trying his best, damn it all,
3 goals in 3.
Yeah, pulled one back, but that's what it was. And of course, they know that. Look, if we're sat here and knowing you go a goal up against Goodison Park, they're going to start thinking, oh, blimey, here we go again. The crowd are going to get on their backs. Their home record is terrible. As we know, it's Everton's 4th home defeat in the league, the worst home start to a season since 1958. Okay? That's what they're dealing with. So, you take advantage and you're away. The game was won there and then, And, I mean, Sean Dyche said after the game, we were trying to create a mentality where the team is on it all the time. We've just taken 2 steps forward, and now we've gone back again. It's driving me mad.
You'd be annoyed if you used Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal for a loss. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't play that many matches because he's terribly injured all the time. So you sort of think, what a waste to play him in that game where he scored and we still lost.
Well, yeah,
I know what you mean. It does feel like there's a finite amount of Dominic Calvert-Lewin season, isn't there?
Yeah, although I mean, if Luton had gone 3-1 up, then I don't think he would have taken off Calvert-Lewin. No, we're not going to waste another one of these.
To be fair, Luton can be got at, which have been proven throughout the season.
This is big for them to get that first win, though, isn't it? And especially to be the first promoted team to get the win, because that was starting to become a strange little quirk as well. And those Garth Crooks comments, we spoke about them recently, and whether they're helpful or unhelpful, or whether you should be able to shut out that sort of noise. But until you get that win, it's going to start dogging you, isn't it? And I think that shutting him up as well as getting the points is something to build on. Because so much was made of the stadium, so much was made of their absence. Like the town itself was getting loads of grief off of people. Not everybody has
very
this
own
sort of and anyone who's been there. Not many clubs have that amount of external
Parkways.
crap to deal with when they're promoted.
Not that many towns have a very, very a very busy airport as well.
No,
so
indeed.
it's all bad. But I think Rob Edwards, he's trying to use absolutely everything he can to just propel them forward.
Well, on that, Marcus, you're not going to get people complaining and protesting using airlines, using planes, because that's protected airspace. So
there you go.
That's one thing that they won't have at home is people complaining via the message on a plane.
Yeah.
Imagine if some...
Go on.
What, man, I should tie it to like an EasyJet or something? How they managed to do that?
They've got loads of ammo to use there, haven't they? Every plane going off, there's another one.
I bet that cost them fucking 20 quid extra. Whoa.
Why are you bringing that banner on, sir? Oh, just no reason.
Stick it out the window.
Go on, 20 quid and you can put it on there.
I tell you what, that's Ryanair right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can hang off the plane for Ryanair for an extra tenner.
Go on, the wings. You wing walk for a 20 quid.
Dear. But when they come to training on Monday morning, they'll look at that and go, "We're not in the relegation zone. Come on, then let's build from."
Also,
this,
we've got the best goal difference at the bottom 4.
There we are.
They don't have to beat everyone. They have to beat the. They've just got to be better than.
Exactly, it's the lion in the jungle with the 2 fellas.
Exactly.
Good night out. That was a good night.
Why don't that sound like a porno? It's the shoelaces. One of them ties the shoelaces. He's faster than the.
You don't have to be the fastest. You just need to be
You just need to cheat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there we are.
I need to kiss him.
Right.
The lion.
Thank you very much for listening
Seduce
to
the lion.
the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. We're back tomorrow because Luke and I are recording Ramble Reacts after full time at the Fulham versus Chelsea match from Craven Cottage.
Nice.
That's lovely.
Do you like that?
Beautiful.
That's a lovely touch.
Let's hope-
Pool in situ yet?
Not yet, I don't believe. I don't believe.
Are you going to do it from the? Are you going to do it from the terraces?
Yeah.
From the terraces. Yeah, we'll do it from wherever we can, mate.
Quite enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes! Yeah, yes! Whey!
Oh, no.
Enjoy your picnic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we are, everybody. At least we've got a nice billionaire.
Are there any nice millionaires?
What a horrid
What
thing
about
to
that one
say.
that
Horrid
thinks he
thing to
looks
say.
20, but is the most obvious 45-year-old you've ever
Yeah.
seen?
Oh, I like
Quite
him.
enjoying
Yeah.
him.
Isn't he like hitting his junk with gamma rays or something to make
Something
them
like that.
to make
Yeah.
him
Actually, even he's
stronger?
not nice, is he? He's just really weird.
None of them are nice.
There we are, everybody. Follow us on X, which you can find at
Speaking of lovely
twitter.com.
billionaires.
Lovely billionaires with Marcus Speller.
It's a room full of lovely billionaires.
This one's on the border shooting a gun from the hip. He looks with a Dead Space t-shirt on. He looks cool.
Remember, you don't have to be faster than the billionaire. Faster than the other
You've got to
person.
steal his 50 cal gun.
Yeah.
Push this billionaire around in a pram. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Football Ramble. Don't you dare forget
Don't you dare
to
forget.
subscribe on your podcast app if you haven't already.
Very important.
Indeed,
If
it
you
is.
do one thing,
Yeah.
and this is quite serious, you got to subscribe, baby.
You've got to.
And download them and then listen to them and then send me
And
£10.
tell everybody. Okay, that's the views of Pete Donaldson.
Very important.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Vithushan.
Thank you.
Lots of love, everybody. See you soon.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.